Muito bem. Deixa eu ajeitar as águas aqui. Chegando no horário nobre no UPix de hoje, nesse sábado, a gente vai receber aqui o Tobias Andersson. Ele é um dos fundadores do Pirate Bay, que vem a ser o maior site de compartilhamento de arquivos do mundo, do planeta, da galáxia. E eu queria dizer que esse momento... tudo bom? Que esse momento aqui é importante porque o UPix é palco para todos os assuntos da internet, todas as opiniões, a diversidade, os lados. A gente gosta de trazer as pessoas aqui para abrir uma discussão sobre tudo. E a gente vai falar sobre um assunto polêmico, que é a questão da pirataria, da cultura livre, do copyright, etc. O que o Tobias falar aqui é a visão dele sobre esse assunto, não é a visão necessariamente do UPix. E depois da palestra dele, a gente vai poder fazer perguntas e conversar sobre tudo isso que ele falar. Tá bom? É um momento para a gente refletir, tá bom? Então vamos lá. Sem mais demora, eu quero chamar ao palco Tobias Andersson, come here!
Hello, São Paulo! Hello, São Paulo!
Tobias, welcome to UPix.
Thank you very much.
It's a little bit crazy here, I know.
I love it here. It's super.
Super. So, you have a speech, right? You're going to show them a few slides, and after that, we're going to talk.
Super. Great.
So, I'm going to ask you to talk very slowly, because we don't have translation, and people have to hear you understand your message.
I'll try my best.
So, I'll talk to you now. Pessoal, o Tobias vai falar em inglês, mas ele vai falar bem devagar para que todo mundo possa entender as reflexões, os slides deles. E se vocês tiverem alguma dúvida, levanta a mão que a gente tenta responder. Tá bom? Depois da palestra vai ter um momento de perguntas e respostas, fiquem ligadinhos. You wanna use that? So, I'm gonna leave them to you. Sit here. This one. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, São Paulo. It's great to be here. I just came from Porto Alegre at the Fizzly Festival, Free Software Festival. And it's been really inspiring to come here to Brazil and meet so many of you that love the internet, just like I do, and believe in the possibilities of a free internet. You know, Brazil is the third biggest country on the Pirate Bay. First is the US, then it's Sweden, and then it's Brazil. So I know there's a lot of you here. I think 4 million Brazilians were at the Pirate Bay yesterday. Thank you. Anyway, I've been around since the first days of the Pirate Bay, which was 10 years ago. I'm not a coder, and I'm not a hardware magic person that many of the others are. I've been writing stuff and talking to media and doing stuff like this, talking to people, which I find is great. Recently, I've not been working with the Pirate Bay. I should say that for legal reasons, maybe. I'm not with the Pirate Bay, okay? But lately, I've been doing this, the Promo Bay project, where we use the front page of the Pirate Bay to promote independent artists from all over the world. We started with Brazilian writer Paulo Coelho last year. Anyway, I'm a kind of a normal family guy, you know. This is my son, baby son, and there's my wife and a big boy, which is back home in Sweden. I'm a student at my local university and pretty much a normal guy. I'm not a millionaire or something like that. I'm not a super genius hacker or something. But me and my friends, we started this project 10 years ago called Piratbyrån, or Bureau of Piracy in Sweden, because we wanted to talk in the media about file sharing and how file sharing could better the society and how society could gain from file sharing, free file sharing of culture, you know? And we did this because we were kind of naive, you know? We thought that we could change the world. We thought that we could shape the future by saying radical things. And no one believed us then, but years later, things happened anyway. So yesterday I was looking through some old copy fights, you know, fights between the old and the new, the past and the future, like when people taped off songs from the radio, like I did when I was a kid, taping off Sepultura from the radio, which was the only metal songs I could find on the radio back then. This was a copy fight back then, and another copy fight was when we got our first computers and shared games with each other. So we've all been involved in all sorts of forms. But looking at these old copy fights, like fights with the music industry and game industry and movie industry, I started to think that what's going to happen when the next big copy fights come? Have you seen this gun? You can download this gun on the Pirate Bay now. It's a 3D printer blueprint. If you had a 3D printer machine, you feed it with the code of this one, and it prints out in plastic a gun like this. I'm not saying that it's good or anything, but it happens. And this might be the future, you know? Because in a few years, you're going to be able to print guns and clothes and car parts and all these kinds of things. And that will bring this whole copy fight into a totally other direction. I mean, the music and movie industry, they have maybe changed the law or thrown some million-dollar lawsuits at some individuals around the world. But these are small problems compared to what will come when file sharing will be threatening car industries, oil industries, and nations that depend on these. Because do you think America and the weapons industry, do you think they will be as friendly as Disney have been with their file sharing threats? And do you think the car industry will be more friendly than Metallica has been threatening file sharers? Or what about nations like the USA, when they feel threatened? How will they act? Getting these 3D printers into the homes of everyone will really start to shake things up. In a month from now, the Pirate Bay will celebrate its 10th birthday, which is an extraordinary achievement on the internet. People's attention to a site normally spans from like 15 minutes up to a few months. And if you run a file sharing site, you'd be happy if you can run it for more than a few months. Because when we started, you recognize this old file sharing, you know? How long did they last? 1 year, 2 years, maybe? That's what we thought when we created the Pirate Bay, that it could be a fun project for, you know, maybe 1 or 2 years, and then something new would come. But it didn't. The team behind it had gathered to raise these questions about file sharing and the free internet, because no one else was talking about that back then. If there was a pirate, like a file sharer in the media, there was someone that looked like this, you know, a typical internet pirate. That's how they looked before we came. But we took off our masks and said, hey, we're just normal people, just like everyone. Every Swede does this, so why should we hide about it? And just in a few months, we managed to get people to, publicly claim that file sharing is good. We need more of this. With the Pirate Bay, what got us some attention was that when we got threats from major labels like Disney and Sony and all that, we didn't, say sorry like many of the other sites. Here's a famous letter that one friend of mine sent back to, I think it was DreamWorks, when they told us to remove Shrek, the movie, from our site. He replied with this, kind of a, I wouldn't do it, but he did. And this got us famous because no one had been this stupid or obnoxious before. This was the site back then. For 2 years in the beginning, the site was all in Swedish. All the language was in Swedish. But it exploded anyway, and people from all over the world used it. One of the most popular torrents that people downloaded was a language course in Swedish. People wanted to learn Swedish so they could use our site. But after 2 years, we translated this whole site into all these languages, and then it really exploded. Soon after that, we had hundreds of millions of users from all over the world, and 40% of the entire internet's traffic, everything that was transmitted on the internet, 40% was through our trackers. To set this into perspective, this was about the same time as YouTube started, 2005. Feels like ages ago. What made the Pirate Bay popular was that we could offer something in a more efficient way than people were used to. Before the Pirate Bay, people went to a shop and bought a CD for, I don't know, 100 reais in Sweden, super expensive, and you got 10 songs. And here we had something that could share everything for everyone in just a few seconds. And we didn't give up to all these threats that came in from these big companies, Because Swedes are kind of relaxed people, We're kind of slow and a bit stupid, Here's some Swedes waiting for the bus. No one wants to talk to each other, They're just standing there. It's nice to be here in Brazil, by the way. Yeah. But Swedes do not fear, mega corporations from all over the world. We don't fear them. We don't think that we will end up in jail and being sued for millions of dollars, because that usually didn't happen in Sweden. We were a bunch of hackers and radical left-wing kids that started all this. And now, 10 years later, I'm here in front of you. Because you, all our users, made it what is possible. We couldn't have done this ourselves, but this is all up to you. And these two things are key. I think we should use these 10 years that has passed us to be able to handle what's coming when all these 3D printers and things come to us, come to every home. Because the future copy fights will be about more than just a stupid Hollywood movie or a stupid Justin Bieber song. So what is coming? Here's something that you can print using the Pirate Bay. It's a blueprint of the Pirate Bay ship, And if you have a 3D printer, you can actually print that and have it in your home, which is nice, I guess. But these are just small tools and toys. And sure, there's a long way until you can print stuff like they do on Star Trek. Have you seen Star Trek, where they print out food and everything? You know, there's a long way to go until we get there. NASA, you know, they're sending astronauts into space. They're trying, though. You know, they recently funded a program to be able to print pizza for the astronauts in space. I have a pizza printer. Super cool. But when the everyday user will be able to print not only in plastic, but also in metal, and the 3D printer will cost a few $100s and not a few $1,000s, then we'll see some real change. And when millions of blueprints of cars, car parts, and clothing, and tools, and everything, toys, will be up for download on file sharing sites, that's when we'll see some real change. And not only in technology, but a social and economical revolution, too. We'll go from copying of files into copying of things. I love the idea. But we won't get there without a fight. Extremely powerful corporations will fear this. I'm not saying that they will disappear through this. I'm not saying that it will hurt them, but they will feel threatened, just like the movie and music industry feels today. Because these last decades, we've been a threat to a small part, small businesses. But when we do something that threatens nations like the US and all these, we need something new. Because all these businesses like oil and the car industries, and weapons industries, they know for their hard stance. They're not going to send any legal threats to anyone who runs the torrent site. They're going to send a killer, you know, to kill the guys who's running the torrent site. Here's a famous quote by Mark Getty, the founder of a huge picture database. He says that intellectual property is the oil of the 21st century, which is a really powerful quote, you know. Oil, you can use it to create a lot of things, but it also implies war. Oil through the history means war. Invasions all over the world, countries being threatened into pieces. Intellectual property, have you heard the term before? It means that you're supposed to own a thought, an idea. Some people actually want to fence and say that these ideas, these thoughts are mine. Thoughts that have developed through centuries, through all of our experiences. Recently, a medical research facility in USA wanted to patent a gene, you know, a gene in our body, in our DNA. They wanted to patent it and say, the cancer testing that we are doing on this gene belongs to us. So if anyone else wants to test this specific gene, you need to pay us a license, you know? Genes that belong to all of us, that we're built on. This company has 500 patents just like these, and they're not alone. There are companies that want to patent everything that we are. There are breast cancer genes. We identify them, yeah. It's kind of you to let us have the disease for free, you know? Soon they will pay for that too. But US is not alone. This fight has been all over the world. I know Brazil have had its fights. The government have threatened to buy medicine against HIV from India to be able to cure its people. It's a fight that matters to us all. And some might claim that intellectual property is needed today to be able to finance and create all these new medicines and projects that people want to make. But we all know that what drives invention, what drives new culture and ideas is the love for creation. You know, anyone who has made music anytime knows that you do it to have fun and not to become rich. Not at first anyway, you know. This concept of intellectual property is only produced to squeeze a few dollars for the people who already have too much. But everything this will change when we'll be able to print stuff on our own. File sharing will explode when it's not only about music and movies anymore, but about pretty much anything. If we look back at the music and major movie labels, instead of using this new technology that we used, BitTorrent and file sharing, which they could have used, which they are somewhat using on Spotify today, but it took them 10 years to realize that, you know. They've been trying to go backwards. They want people to stop file sharing and start buying CDs again, you know. Like that will happen. Because when they compare the numbers of sales today, they compare it to the 90s, when people just started buying CD players and DVD players and bought all their stuff that they had on vinyl and VHS before. It's always those numbers that they're comparing everything to. And the Pirate Bay, a 10-year-old system run by like 10 or 20 guys, still beats all these giants with their billion-dollar lawyers and everything. So for these 10 years, I think we can learn a few things. First off, if I'm thinking back to how it was for us, I believe that anyone can do what we did, you know? Any one of you can create what we did. You only need the right attitude. There was some of us were really good at, you know, coding stuff and stuff like that, but that was not the reason why it exploded. All of you here can create something just like we did if you do it together. Because that's how we did it. We were just a bunch of naive kids that had the right attitude. This was how it looked. Just a few kids, you know. And we had fun. We did it to have fun, you know. We didn't do it to make money or become super powerful. I myself have never earned $1 from my work with the Pirate Bay. I'm a student right now, and I've been working as an electrician over the years, doing stuff like that. And we've been doing this all on our spare time. If we had started with the aim to make money, the site would not have been the same. We would have compromised and apologized and probably quit while fighting each other. And sure, you can have fun while you make money, but if you start with the aim to profit on a project like this, it's going to end. Secondly, if we're talking evolution on the internet, creating stuff, forget about the politicians, you know? They're not going to solve anything for you. They might create laws against what you do, but they'll always be 5 years behind. You will always create something that is far ahead of what they will do. And when you do it, they will start talking about how they will handle it. And when they finally can handle it, you're already a few steps ahead again. Last but very importantly, this was a dream from a friend of mine, and as he woke up, he quickly wrote it on a piece of paper, this phrase: multiplication can produce powerful numbers, you know? Copy, paste. There are so many of us, you know? There are billions from all over the world. There are maybe 500 million of users on the Pirate Bay every day. We are so many, which means that we could do so many things. The tools are everywhere, you know? Use Facebook or Google Apps or Diaspora, or you create your own forum or whatever you do, but it's so easy to do things together when we have all these tools. Because we don't want a DRM internet, you know? We don't only want a giant app store. We want a free internet. Because the internet today is as crucial as the roads we drive our cars on, you know? Or ride buses if you can afford to. So to summarize it, you can't create amazing things easily. Politicians do not solve your problems. And there are millions of you. So what do I think should be done? When the 3D revolution hits us with its full force, legal battles that are not comparable to what happens today will be all over the internet. SUPA, PIPA, ACTA, have you heard about those? There will be nothing compared to what will come. And the outcome is up to all of you. But only if we adapt, you know? We cannot be too comfortable. Which leads me to a conclusion that we must kill some darlings. I think the Pirate Bay should shut down, you know? Yeah, I think the Pirate Bay should shut down. You may be surprised when I say that, but the Pirate Bay is 10 years old. It's time to retire the Pirate Bay. I'm not a part of the Pirate Bay anymore, so I don't have the power to shut it down. But I think the Pirate Bay should shut down so that we are forced to create something new. You know? People have become way too comfortable knowing that the Pirate Bay is always there. No matter legal threats and so on, the Pirate Bay is always there. We don't have to do anything, you know? But if the Pirate Bay would shut down, I believe that people will feel the need to create something new, something better. Sure, it was a great step since Kazaa and all that, but it's 10 years and it's time to retire. We thought it would last for 1 or 2 years, but 10 years, that's like 200 human years. The Pirate Bay hinders the evolution of technology, not actively, but by making people comfortable. Because against MPAA and the RIAA and all those, there haven't been any real problems. There have been a lawsuit here and there, but all of you continue to file share anyway. But when this 3D printing revolution comes, when you will be able to print everything, it will be a completely other copy fight. And after being 1 week here in Brazil, I believe that it's you Brazilians that will make the next thing, make the next protocol, make the next step in the evolution of file sharing. I have met so many people here in Brazil that are so skilled and so interested, and there are so many of you. Being at Fisley and here in UPix is really inspiring because we don't have anything like this in Sweden. In Sweden, there are maybe a few gaming parties, but not anything like this where people meet and share thoughts. We need something that is independent and holds ground, regardless of individuals, people's will of sacrificing themselves, you know? No one should have to go to jail just because they create something like this. So we need something that is independent from a public website or something. And we need transparency and public control. We need it open. We don't want it hidden back on some dark parts of the internet where only a few can find it, because there will be blueprints of weapons there. And I think we all need to see what they are to be able to handle it, because society will reshape because of this. I mean, I love the Pirate Bay, you know. It's been a huge part of my 10 years. I was 25 when it started, and I was working as an electrician, and this was the most fun we could ever have done after the job was done. It brings, you know, memories that will last forever. Going to Brazil to talk to people like you, going to countries that I would never have been able to gone before. We got a lot of emails from people in living dictatorships like China and Iran and Iraq and all those countries, telling us that the Pirate Bay is so important because the Pirate Bay is their only way of getting something different. Without the Pirate Bay, they wouldn't be able to see something other, you know, from outside of the world. We've seen political persons like Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and people like them releasing political secrets to the Pirate Bay. We've seen musicians spreading their music, having the possibility of sharing the music to all over the world for free. You know, a possibility they didn't have before. But if it is this important today, then you understand why we need something better tomorrow that is not dependent on a few people's willingness to sacrifice themselves. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I think I'm out of batteries here. Can you... Fê, preciso de microfone rapidinho. Wow. Tobias. Yeah. I'm gonna... Pessoal, quem tem pergunta, já vai se organizando que a gente vai... Você tinha uma pergunta também, né? Peraí. So, the audience, do you want to sit down, drink some water, be happy, just... Cadê pergunta aqui? Cadê o microfone da plateia? Vem cá.
Hi. First of all, I need to say it's a pleasure to see a lecture with you. I have to say thank you. And if you think the internet needs some kind of limits or laws, but which one we need to have? Like here in Brazil, you need like international laws from all the world, or when do you think which country, like Brazil, US, we need to have we own laws?
What do you think?
Sorry.
Hey.
He wants to know if you think we need international laws or specific local laws for the whole thing to happen.
I think you need some, in many ways, I think you need the Brazilian government to stand up for you. If you take these last events like the Snowden case, where Facebook, Twitter, no, not Twitter, Facebook and Gmail, Google, all those, Microsoft, they shared your personal things with the American spy agency, NSA. And they can do this because the local governments do not care about this, The local governments have not said that it is forbidden to share your personal information with American interests, But I think if you talk about the 3D revolution, sure, I think that it's important to create international and national laws. But just like file sharing of music and movies, it will not make that big of a difference, because this is something that people will do in their homes. And you'll probably be able to print a 3D printer,
Do you think the 3D printing thing will be the next villain in the piracy debate? They're going to lay off of you and go to the 3D guys?
Absolutely, but I think the next file sharing site or project will have everything from music and movies to 3D blueprints.
That was my next answer question. I wanted to know, what do you think the future of file sharing will be?
Yeah, it'll be this, These 3D printers, you can already buy them, but they're really expensive now and they only print in plastic. But I'd say in 5 or 10 years, most of you will have one, and you can print in both plastic and metal.
Aqui, cadê o microfone? Ali. Tá, você fala em português? Tá. Vai ser muito longo? Então vamos lá. É uma palestra ou uma pergunta?
Tá bom, não, é rapidinho. Meu nome é Leandro, eu sou do Partido Pirata do Brasil. Tá, as questões que o Tobias fala, elas são importantes, fazem parte de um movimento internacional que vem tentando reformar as leis de direito autoral no mundo todo. E a pergunta que eu quero fazer para o Tobias, my question, é o seguinte: a gente identificou que é necessário reformar o direito autoral e a propriedade intelectual no mundo todo. Aonde o Tobias acha que é o melhor ponto de partida? Em qual parlamento ou país enfim, aonde o momento dos partidos piratas, ele está espalhado no mundo todo, certo? E todo local, tipo no Brasil, nós estamos tentando reformar a lei brasileira, mas não basta a lei brasileira de direito autoral ser reformada, porque existem acordos internacionais. Então, na visão dele, pelos países que ele já andou, quais são os pontos-chave, os tripés, vamos dizer assim, aonde essa reforma deve ser feita primeiro, para que ela, de fato, possa ter um efeito? Se você consegue traduzir isso.
No Brasil, você quer saber? Ou no mundo inteiro?
Não, quais locais do mundo, o Parlamento Europeu, etc., ele acha importante fazer... De onde deve partir essa reforma? Alguém consegue ajudar?
Eu vou trazer uma tradutora melhor aqui, porque foi muito complexo isso tudo que você falou. Sobe aqui, Bia. Ele acabou de falar, mas vamos lá.
He wants to know, you actually already said that, you said we need attitude, but he wants to know, like, the three pillars of the three, like, setting stones for creating, like, a pirate bay in Brazil. A kind of a movement, like a pirate movement in Brazil or all over the world. You said it was about attitude,
yeah.
But he wants to know what other behavior or something that you step on to build a movement like that?
We had the attitude. That was a main part. But a part of our attitude was that we dared to say things that felt impossible back then, We came out and said, everyone should have 100 megabit at home. Super fast broadband for everyone. And everyone laughed at us. 100 megabit, what are you going to do with that? No. But 2 years ago, the government of Sweden said every Swede should have 100 megabit. So in 5 years from now, it's the Swedish law that every Swede should have 100 megabit. My point with this is that you should make unrealistic goals, say that every Brazilian should have fast broadband. I understand that the situation is a bit different here because, you know, because you have jungles and stuff, but which we don't have in Sweden. But set unrealistic goals and dare to be unrealistic, and keep a positive attitude.
Quem tem pergunta aqui? Vou fazer uma desse lado agora, porque não foi ainda. Pega aqui o microfone.
Can I also say that I really appreciate what the Pirate Party is doing, you know?
Hey.
When I say that the politicians do not solve anything, I believe that. But I believe that the Pirate Party is a great way for you to organize if you're interested in these questions.
I'd like to know your opinion about Bitcoins. You know?
Bitcoins?
Yes.
Bitcoins? Oh. I have to admit that I don't know too much about Bitcoins, you know? I don't know too much about Bitcoins. I don't use them myself, but I believe it's really interesting, you know, because there are a lot of countries and institutions that accept Bitcoins. But we'll have to wait and see, you know, because the value of Bitcoins goes up and down. So I wouldn't say that everyone should invest in Bitcoins quite yet. But everything that is an alternative to today's capitalism is good.
Tobias, here.
There. Não, onde?
Here.
Ah, there. Uma aqui e depois volta, tá?
My name is Rodrigo, and I would like to know, you were talking about, you think that the Pirate Bay should close, but you are not going to do anything about it. You're going to leave it, but how do you think the Pirate Bay, better, don't you think the Pirate Bay could be better, or how will be your paper in a new website? How could you contribute with the knowledge that you have on Pirate Bay to contribute for a new website, for more sharing, more powerful sharing around the world? Why don't you think the Pirate Bay should not be better? And in case it closed, how could you improve another website?
Yeah, I don't have anything to do with the Pirate Bay anymore, you know. I was one of the founders. I worked with it for a few years, but due to legal matters and me having a family, I couldn't risk myself anymore. And that's partly why I think that we need something better, you know, that doesn't depend on some people serving as a website, you know. I don't think we can have a public website anymore, because that depends on someone who signs the paper and pays the bills, you know. We need something that is independent and standalone. I'm not a coder, so I don't know, but we need something like a client that everyone can use and connects people to each other. Maybe via BitTorrent, but we need something else. And the Pirate Bay in its form is kind of stagnated, you know, it's grown stale. Nothing have happened to the site for the last 10 years. And I know some of the people working with it still, and I know they are not going to make something new. And I think it would be refreshing if someone else did it. Hopefully someone in Brazil.
Here, another one.
Hello. Let's say a mechanical piece in my car breaks, and I have access to a 3D printer, which I can use to make this replacement part. But I will download it from the internet, and I'm not sure how safe it would be to use this part. How would you position yourself, or how do you think Pirate Bay would position itself in this kind of matter?
Yeah, great question. This is one of the problems with the 3D printing revolution. I'm not saying everything is great with it, you know. There's going to be huge problems. But this is why we need a public file sharing protocol or site or whatever it's going to be. It can't be hidden away where people cannot comment on things. Because if you're going to be able to download a spare part for your car, you want to know if it works. You want other people who have tried it to write, if this doesn't work, don't try it. I ran my car into a wall, you know. So we need insight on all this, you know. It needs to be public. And I am not going to say that you should download a blueprint for your spare parts for your car in the next few years, it would kind of be a bit dangerous, you know. But maybe you could, you know, just to try things, you know. And in 10 or 20 years, we will have developed a better system for these, and where trust is involved.
Outra pergunta, quem ali, levanta por favor. Pode passar para ele o microfone. Ah.
Tobias, now we have is an oppression against many people that can bring freedom to people, like Assange, Snowden, and Nakata. If this oppression continues by great companies, great corporations, and governments, in the future, now many people are learning and seeing this oppression. In the future, we can see away from keyboards, manifestations, and protests like the Arab Springs. We can see in the future this.
If we're going to see more of it, do you think? Well, what was the question?
If this oppression continues by the great corporations and government, in the future, the people can go to the streets and make protests like the Arab Springs.
If they will do this because of the 3D printing revolution, you mean, or?
We'll try to translate.
Do you think in the future we're going to have protests like the Arab Springs here?
Oh, in Brazil?
Worldwide.
Worldwide? Oh, you mean a global revolution against capitalism? I don't know, man. You can only hope.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you make a business model out of the Pirate Bay, like a business model that you can earn money with free file sharing?
Absolutely. You know, these last years, file sharing of music on the Pirate Bay has gone down. And why is this? This is because services like Spotify. You know, I think there are a lot of problems with Spotify. Problems like the 4 major labels owns everything and gets money even if independent artists' music are played. That's a big problem for me. But it solves the industry's problem, you know. And I think the movie industry could learn from that. They're not doing it yet, you know. Netflix and Hulu, I don't know if you've tried those, but they're just a small amount of movies compared to what's on the Pirate Bay. So those sites are not a solution yet, but they could be.
Tobias, here, in your left.
In my left.
Here.
Yeah, great. Hi.
When people see this flag, the Pirate Bay flag, it's an automatic connection with the ancient pirates. How do you see this connection between you, all of us, like a pirate, with the ancient pirates? How do you see this historic connection? What is a Pirate Bay in a world that is full of pirates a long time ago?
You know, when we created the site and we decided for the name, people called us pirates. People called the file sharing people pirates. We were not into piracy, running around with patches for our eyes, you know, playing pirates, you know. That was kind of boring in our eyes, but we chose it because it had already been chosen for us. I think the Pirates of the Caribbean movies were out then, and it was all popular, you know. All the kids were running around being pirates. But it was never a historian context, you know. We had no idea, not any thought about the old pirates back in the day that, killed people.
Pessoal, a gente tem
Tobias.
tempo para uma última pergunta que é a sua. Tá bom? Olha, capricha, hein?
Then yes. Okay.
Tem que caprichar. Pode falar.
Well, the point is about building a new tomorrow. Yeah. How do we begin?
About what?
About the new tomorrow.
The new tomorrow.
Great.
Whoa.
Building a new tomorrow. How do we begin and how do we fight against the idea of killing the freedom of file sharing and the idea sharing, preaching sharing, and
what's the meaning of life?
Yeah, I'm kind of writing a book about this, and it will be out next year, and you will be able to buy it for $100. No, I'm just kidding, but...
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm writing a book, though, and it'll be out next year. It'll be up for free download, or you can pay, or whatever, but I'm writing a book about the lessons that we have learned these past 10 years and how to handle these coming years. But I think it's important, as I've said in the speech, it's important that we adapt, that we learn and that we do things today. Because there are a lot of people out there, big corporations and nations, that feel threatened by us. They feel threatened by the 3D printing revolution. So we need to adapt and create new things before they shape the internet for us.
Thank you.
Pessoal, aplausos para o Tobias.
Thank you.
Tobias, thank you so very much for coming all the way from Sweden to Brazil. So hot in here right now. People would love to talk to you a little bit more. We don't have more time on stage, but you'll be around, right?
Absolutely. I'll be outside here if you want to talk to me.
Quem quiser falar com o Tobias, ele vai estar aqui na frente. Vocês podem entrevistá-lo, falar com ele, conversar. Ele vai estar à disposição de vocês para a gente aprofundar essa discussão sobre a cultura livre e o futuro da vida, né? O que significa, the meaning of life, everything you want to know. Thank you so much, Tobias.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.